Hey, good to have you. We're going to practice finding equations of a line when given 2 points. So this time we don't have a graph to refer to and we don't have a table to refer to, but we can use our equation. So y equals mx plus b, m being our slope, b being our y-intercept. So let's take a look. Let's try it. So y equals mx plus b, and let me give myself 2 points. So let's go, I've got a graph somewhere, and I know I have a point at 9, 2, and a point at 3, and -1. And this I know, okay? And my coordinates are always put in the x first and then the y. Now, I'm going to first go ahead and find my slope. Now, slope, we find rise over run, and that is when we're looking at a graph. But what's different is when we have these points. We're looking for change in y over change in x. So let's go ahead and find the change in y over the change in x. Okay, the change in y over change in x. And let's look. So I'm going to look at my y's, which are these guys, and I'm going to look for the change. So I'm at 2, and I'm going to -1. Now the change is subtraction, so I'm going to subtract, but I got to see that it's a -1, so I got to be careful of that one. And those are my y's. Now I'm going to look for the change in x, which are these guys. Because I started with the 2 here, I have to start with a 9. I have to start with the same coordinate. 9 minus 3. Now, 2 minus -1 is the same as adding, so that's 3. 9 minus 3, which is 6. And I simplify that, and that's 1/2. So I have found that my slope is 1/2. Now I'm going to use that slope to go ahead and find my y-intercept. So let me rewrite my equation. Y equals my slope, 1/2 x plus b. Well, I do know one of my y's that I can get from here. So I'm going to grab this one. So I'm going to work with this coordinate right here, 9, 2. So I'm going to plug in the y, which is 2, equals 1/2 x. I'm going to get the x from here. So 1/2 looks like 9 plus b, which is what we're trying to figure out. And that looks like, yeah, that looks like what we're trying to do. All right, now I need to simplify my fraction. Okay, so I have 2 equals 1/2 of 9 is 4.5 plus b, or 4.5. That's fun. 4.5. And then to keep simplifying, I'm going to subtract 4.5 from both sides because it cancels those out, and that's what I'm trying to do. And 2 minus 4.5, I end up with -2.5. It looks like an 8. Looks like a really bad one now, okay? So my b is 2.5. I have all my pieces. I can write my equation. Y equals my slope, which we found is 1/2. And I got to look and see, okay, it's negative minus 2.5. So my y-intercept being 2.5, -2.5 that is. Okay, let me try one more, okay? And you can work it out ahead of me. So y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to give you 2 points here. So let's do the point, let's do 0, -1, and do the point 4, -7. X and Y. Okay, why don't you go ahead and press pause. You try it out, and then press play, and let's see how we did together. Again, you're making the equation. All right, how'd you do? A couple things I noticed. I had to keep track of my -1 minus -7, so I had to keep an eye on that one. And I got through and I ended up with -3/2 as my slope. Some of you saw it as -1.5. Both of them are true. And then when I ended up substituting in here to my y equals -3/2 x plus 6, I plugged in a y, which was -1 from here, and I plugged in a 0 from here, and I found that my b equaled -1, so my y-intercept was -1. I could have, recognize that from way back here, that when x is 0, y is -1. It's possible that I could have recognized earlier like that is my y-intercept, and you could have done that. Let's go ahead and try one more. Okay, let's do, you've got a point at 2, 5, and you've got a point at 9, 1. X, Y. y equals mx plus b. Why don't you press pause and try it out and see if we can get the same answer. Press pause. Pause. All right, let's see how you did. My change in y was 5 minus 1, which was 4. My change in x, which was 2 minus 9, which got me to negative 7. So I ended up with this funky slope of negative 4/7. But that can happen. It can rise forward and run 7, but the negative tells me that it's a negative slope. So on my graph, it's going down like this. It's going in a downward motion. Once I knew my slope, I plugged in a 5 and a 2 from my first coordinate here, and ended up with negative 4/7 times 2. It looked crazy, looked like it might be bad, but it actually wasn't. So I did 4 times 2, which was 14. And, oh no, that's 8. 4 times 2 is 8. I thought it was 7, which would have been really nice, but it's 8. I must have been working too fast. So 4 times 2 is going to be 8. There we go. So it's negative 8/7. Okay, and that means that this all changes and my equation changes, my y-intercept does. So 8/7, okay, which is 1 and 1/7, but I need to add that to both sides. Plus 8/7 plus 8/7. And some people might ask, like, how do I know what to do? What I did here is I look at what's happening, so it's being subtracted, so I'm doing the opposite, which is adding, and I'm grabbing the whole amount. So on this side, these cancel out. And I'm going to end up with b equals 5 plus 8/7. Okay, the 8/7 means there's a whole one there, so it's going to be the 6 with 1/7 left over. Little bizarre, but you know, it still can work out. It looks like our y-intercept goes through 6 and 1/7. Ooh, yeah, it can go through that, which is true. All right. Well, keep practicing this stuff. It does take time. It does take some time and just more practice. All right. I'm going to go play with my neighbor's dog until I'm way too tired.